Brand live stream. Here we go.
My name's Branden. I'm a world traveler, foodie, and YouTuber. Together, you and I will find the best travel hacks, tips, and best places to explore. Join me as we find new adventures together, live only on IBM.TV. Hello, IBMTV. Welcome, everyone. My name is Branden, and if you haven't figured it out, today we're talking about travel. It's Travel Tuesdays here on IBMTV. You know, you got a little bit of travel content, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of. If you don't know me, I'm a traveler. I make videos. I make all sorts of different kinds of content, podcasts, websites, blog posts, anything you could want, talking all about travel, everything from travel tips, hacks, all sorts of great stuff. Today, we're going to follow up on my first stream. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's available on the IBM TV YouTube page and Facebook page. We're going to talk about airports. Airports, the money pits of travel, a money pit. Airports are crazy. Last week on the stream, I told you about a few tools that I used to find great deals on flights. We went through a few of my favorite tools and tips when it comes to booking an airline ticket for a very low price. If you haven't checked out that episode, you should. We're going to build on that a little bit today, and we're going to continue to build on that through the season here on Travel Tuesdays, learning everything about booking your trip, organizing your trip, picking a destination, making sure you're ready to go on that great adventure. This week, we're going to talk about how to save money at the actual airport. Once you've booked your flight and you've found your deal, there's another common trap that you might fall into. It's common. Everybody falls into it. I've fallen into it. If you're new to the show, welcome. Make sure you check out my website, LeeBrandenScott.com, and my YouTube channel so you can get some more travel tips and hacks. So here's the deal with live streams. It's live. So if you want, you can head on over to the IBM TV Facebook page. It's a mouthful. IBM TV Facebook page. It's a twister. You can leave one on the stream. It'll pop up here, boop, right below, and we can answer your questions live and help you organize your trip live on the air, or at least give you some advice. So, flights. Here we go. Here is the first big barrier you'll encounter, right? You book your flight. You've spent the money, you've done your due diligence, you've used some of the tricks and tips that I showed you in the first episode, and you found that budget flight or affordable flight. Now it's morning. You got to wake up and you got to get going to the airport. The day has come, the day of reckoning. Uber, taxi, friend drives you to the airport. You get there. What's the first thing you do? You probably already missed a step. Here's my first kind of recommendation or piece of advice that I would have. When you're getting ready for your flight, check in ahead of time. Most flights will allow you to check in 24 hours before your flight is scheduled to leave. Always check in right away as soon as you can. Sometimes you got to wake up in the morning to do it. It's worth it. I promise. Always be worth it. If you're flying airlines like Southwest that do kind of free-for-all boarding, I guess, I don't know what the proper term is. If you are on one of these flights, you want to check in super early because you can usually get better boarding. You can board earlier, be in earlier groups, and oftentimes have a much better experience that way. So check in super early. Mark's looking for a super affordable rate. Well, Mark, on my first stream, we talked about some great apps that you can use to look for some of those super cheap rates. When we can go traveling again, that's a whole nother story. I think that's going to be a whole stream. I actually just put a video up on my YouTube channel today talking a little bit about the future of travel. Uh, it's going to be a while. We're going to be looking domestic for a while. Let's say, perfect world, you've got your flight booked and you're at the airport. You checked in early, you checked in your 24 hours ahead of time. Now you're about to walk into a great money pit. Here's the thing, airports, most people don't realize. Many of them, they don't make money on the airlines pay them to take off and land. They're malls. They make the bulk of their money from you. Spending money at shops, duty free, restaurants, Wi Fi, all those charges add up, right? So we're talking about budget travel. We want to get you the best deal. You found a good plane ticket. Now, the trick is to just not spend as much money at the airport, but that is easier said than done. It's much easier to say, just don't spend money. When you're at the airport, if you're at the airport as much as I am, you're there hours at a time, sometimes 12 hours at a time. Sometimes, like me, you walk into an airport at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday and you don't walk out of an airport until 10 p.m. on a Thursday. You have layover after layover after layover after layover after layover. So you got to be careful when you're in these airports. You got to be ready to guard your wallet, guard yourself. What do I think of companies like Paycation and PlanNet? So here's my thing on any sort of travel system. Always better. It's always going to be better for you and cheaper for you to do your own research and book your own travel, whether it's just for you or for you and a couple people, than it's going to be for you to jump into some of these services like a Paycation. It's like similar to the timeshare model where you're paying money to another company to make a pit and to help organize the trip. So it's always best to just try and book everything directly, book everything yourself, and organize your own trip. Group travel's a tricky thing too. I could rant for hours about group travel. Here's the deal about airports. They make so much money off of you. It's expensive just to exist in an airport. Super, super expensive. And, some of these things are easy to avoid. Some things it's easy to swoop by. It's easy to, kind of pass by through some of these tricks. Some of them are not. Some of these rules also that I'm going to talk about, I break them. I'll be honest, this is going to be a do as I say kind of thing. But I'll tell you which rules I break and why them. If you're just joining us, my name is this is Travel with Branden here live on IBMTV, and we're talking all about airports. So let's step through a few kind of tips and tricks and hacks that you can use while you're at the airport to avoid some of those common pitfalls. Let's talk about airport hacks. Here we go. All right, Mr. Ankit, I've got a little graphic coming up over here with some airport hacks. We're going to talk a little bit about them. They're some are straightforward, some are not so much. Some can be kind of chaotic, but first of all, this should be a no-brainer, but it's not. Bring your own bottle. It's free. Well, maybe it costs you $1 to get the water bottle, but bring your own water bottle. Even a plastic throwaway, recyclable, and not like a hefty water bottle. Bring your own water bottle to the airport, because you can't take liquids over whatever 3 ounces through security, but you can take just a plastic water bottle. And once you get to the other side of security, you're not going to find free water anywhere, and I mean anywhere. So bring a water bottle. You can save that $3 for your bottle of water at the airport by bottle and filling it up at a drinking fountain. Most airports even have stations you can fill up, like a little, doohickey. You put your little and it goes like that. Put a little water bottle in, totally free. If you need to buy a water bottle, $3, $5, $7 for some of these water bottles. So it's always better to just bring your own water bottle right there off the bat. Even if you're only in the airport for 4 or 5 hours, I've saved you $10. thing you can do is you can pack snacks. Most people don't think about this. There is nothing wrong with bringing a snack through security. I had a friend when I traveled, back when we traveled. Remember those days, all those years ago, when borders were open? I had a friend who would bring fried oats, like oatmeal, in a jar through security into the airport because it was cheap for her to get oatmeal and she could bring it through and have a little snack when she was hungry. All you had to do is add some hot water to it. You go to a Starbucks, coffee shop, just ask for a little bit of hot water, free. Throw it in. There's your oatmeal. You can pack snacks. I am infamous for getting hangry. I need food, as you can tell. Look at me. And wait in quarantine, and I need liquids. I gotta have it. If I don't, I start to get angry. I start to get tense, frustrated, and then I start to mess up. I start flights. I start to add quick on airplanes. So I always bring a little protein bar and energy bar, and that's something I'm gonna put like in my pocket that I'll have with me on the airplane. That way, if I'm waiting for food service or, waiting to land, or if the flight doesn't have food service, I have something. So when I land, I can have a little snack, feel okay, go out and get my Uber, my taxi, sort out what I need to do next, and not be overly stressed. So bring a snack, bring a little granola bar. You don't have to go quite as crazy as oats. I will, with stuff like dried oats, you'll get stopped at security all the time because they want to know what this powdery white substance is you're bringing through security. But a granola bar is an easy, safe bet. Pretzels are an easy bet. Nuts are great because they're protein, they're tea. They'll keep you going for a little while. So bring your own snack. Bring your own water bottle and bring your own snack. Even if you're just bringing, you don't have to bring a whole picnic, but just a couple little snacks, little granola bars. It'll go a long way to saving you money because in the airport, food is expensive. Food is crazy expensive. I mean, it really is. The other thing you should do that'll make your airport experience a lot better is talk to people. Is that so hard? Don't we miss that when we could have face-to-face interaction? That's why I love this stream, because it's one of the few times I get to talk to people without having to put a mask on. But talk to the gate agents. When you get to the gate, chat with them. Let them know, hey, I'm willing to be bumped, for the right, or I'm willing to gate check my bag, and do a whole episode on packing so that you can save some money and hassle and time if you pack well. But hey, like, I'm flexible. If you need to bump me by a day and put me in a hotel for a night, I can do that. Or check in. Hey, do you have any available upgrades? Sometimes you can get one at the gate for super cheap. But you got to be friendly. You got to talk to them. You got to let them know what's going on. So don't be afraid of them. They're busy people. Don't interrupt them. But, you can walk up and say, hey, excuse me, I just want to let you know I'm willing to be bumped for this flight if you're oversold. If you notice people on standby, someone's going to get bumped. Very possible. So don't be afraid to volunteer for a few $100 extra. Sometimes you can get $700 out a few hours later or the next day, and they'll give you food and lodging. So if you're willing, talk to them. Don't go and say I'm not willing, but just talk to them. Hey, I can gate check my bag if you need it, or hey, I was just wondering if you have any priority boarding slots available. Whatever it is, chat with them. They're your friends. They're there to help. It's a easy and overlooked thing when they're traveling and at airports. It's early and they don't want to talk to people, but it's worth it. It'll always help. Here's the other thing, and this is more for international travelers. If you're traveling internationally, never, I'm sorry, I don't mean to blow your eardrums out. Never, ever, ever, ever change your currency at the airport. Don't do it. Don't. I'll slap your hand. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Here's the deal with currency exchange. It's a business. Currency exchange stands that they set up in the airport, or they cost money. They have employees. They need to turn a profit. So you're going to be paying the exchange rate for the currency and a fee so that they can turn a profit. It's not worth it. Always, if you can, use your credit cards. If you have an international a bank that lets you do international transactions with no fees. I'm going to do a whole episode on money. Don't worry about it. It's coming up. We're going to do a whole episode on credit cards and foreign currencies and ATM. Whole episode on it. Um, and there's a lot to it because when I went to Colombia for the first time, I did not do my research on the exchange rate. So I was shocked when I took $70 out of an ATM in Colombian pesos and got 100,000 pesos. And I was like, seems like a lot. We'll do a whole episode on it. Never change your currency at the airport, at one of those booths. Go to an ATM. You can go to an ATM in the airport. You're going to pay an ATM fee, but don't go to one of those stands where you can change currencies. It's always going to cost you more money. It's not worth it. The other thing you should do is download or print your boarding pass. Everybody's got an app. I am a big fan of apps. It's how I keep track of all frequent flyer numbers and hotel partnership numbers and all those numbers and rewards memberships you have to have. And we're going to do a whole episode on that too. That you better come back next Tuesday at 11, and the next Tuesday after that, and the next Tuesday after that. But if you download or print your boarding pass, I usually do is I'll screenshot it. I have an iPhone now, so I just go and take a little screenshot. Boom, got it, saved it, because Wi-Fi is not always free, and it can drain your battery and your data. If you're going to be traveling internationally, we're going to talk about some international data plans, but usually airports now are going to give you a half an hour of Wi-Fi for free. That it's going to cost you. If you have to log onto it, don't log onto it. Take a screenshot of your boarding pass and of your membership number if you need it, and save that to your phone. If you're traveling internationally, also screenshot your hotel reservations, your outgoing travel, anything you might need for customs and immigration. That way you don't have to worry about trying to connect to Wi-Fi as soon as you land. Anka wants to know what the available utilities are at airports. Well, you're going to find you're going to find free power, right? So you can usually charge your devices for free, no problemo. You're going to find Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's usually going to be free to an extent. It's going to be free for the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then you're going to have to pay for it. You're going to find tons and tons of restaurants and shops trying to sell you something. You want to try to avoid those as much as you can. But here's the other thing I'll talk about Wi-Fi when it comes to Wi-Fi. You can sometimes, and don't tell the overlords listening in, sometimes you can find free Wi-Fi if you just decide an airport lounge. You go near one of those like Delta Premium lounges. You don't want to pay to get in, but if you sit outside, sometimes you can connect to the free Wi-Fi. Just saying. But if you have your boarding pass screenshotted and your travel plan screenshotted, you won't need to. You can just pull up that photo, scan your boarding pass, and hop right on board. So easy way to save a couple bucks there. Avoid connecting to the line until you absolutely have to. Thing, and I can't stress this enough. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice to people. Be nice. Some airports do have private baths. Most of them will cost. Sometimes you can take a shower for a cheap price. Sometimes they'll have lounges. A lot of times they'll have free showers and bath facilities. Here's my thing on it. It's never worth it. If you're going to travel that day, wake up, shower. If you've got a 14-hour flight, wake up or take some deodorant, some fresh wipes. You're going to be on a plane for 14 hours. You're not going to be sweating. You're not doing any intense activity. Land, freshen up a little bit if you need to at the airport. Go to your hotel and shower. I would never pay for those personally. I'm a big fan of making sure that it just isn't worth it to me. Some airliners now will also have showers on board. Sometimes it's maybe worth it just to upgrade your ticket, and it's going to be cheaper for you to do that. But if you're nice to people along the way, you're going to find a much more pleasant experience. Because here's the other thing, the overlords don't want you to know. Your profile, which is you don't even have to have a frequent flyer number, just your name, email, and address are going to show up a regular profile for them, and they can add notes into it. So you got to be nice to people, otherwise they're going to add some bad notes. They'll know if you're a problem guest, if you've had problems before. So be nice. Ankit wants to know which are the best airports around. Well, I can tell you the worst. I mean, Singapore's a nice airport. I like Charles de Gaulle. I like JFK is not bad actually. I like JFK. I hate DFW. I hate Dallas Fort Worth. I hate Gatwick. It's clean. It's very clean, but I don't like it. It's just so eh. I'm not a huge fan there, but I do like Singapore's airport a lot. I like Singapore in general. But you say airports too? Yeah, I same. I've stayed at airports for days sometimes. I've been in airports where I've maybe stayed in 3 airports and been in the airports for 72 hours. The best airports, yeah, okay. Okay, I can support your choices. The worst airports for me are the airports that always have construction. Any airport that seems like it's always construction every time you land. And I think the worst airport in for this is Dallas Fort Worth in Texas, because every time I've flown in there, sometimes within a month of each other, the construction has relayed out the whole airport. So you never can figure out where you're going. But this is why you be nice to people, right? This is why when you're checking in, drop your bag, you be nice to those folks. Because when that profile comes up and they say, oh, he travels a lot, he's a very nice guy, positive experiences all around, likely to get upgraded, you're gonna likely to get perks. You're going to be less likely to get bumped because they know that you're a valuable guest, a valuable customer. The best airport, Ankit's asking on YouTube now. Oh, how fancy. The best airport story I've heard or experienced? Oh, boy. Well, I mean, I've run through a lot of airports. I've had to full out sprint through a lot of airports. I think probably the scariest airport story I have it was on a flight in North America. I don't remember exactly where. The scariest flight I've been on. We had storms and polar vortexes and all sorts of other things. And I remember being on this flight. I think it was an American Airlines, and we had bad turbulence. And I don't really get motion sick on flights, but it was bad. I was getting a little nauseous for sure, and I was having a rough time. I mean, and this thing was, like a roller coaster going up and down. And I remember the turbulence kind of calmed down, so the flight attendants were walking up and down the aisle, making sure everybody was okay. And then the turbulence suddenly got very bad. And the scariest thing about it was, believe it or not, I've never seen this happen before. The two flight attendants in the aisleway as the turbulence was getting bad, one flight attendant, one in charge, looked to the other flight attendant and went, brace now. And I was like, for us? And the two flight attendants went flat into the aisleway and were like crouching and holding onto the chairs. And I was like, oh, this is not good. I was like, if the flight attendants are bracing themselves in the aisleway, like bad sign. It was super turbulent. It was so turbulent. We were safe, obviously, the whole way through. They were just, because they weren't seated and had a seatbelt on, they needed to like lay down on the aisle and like wrap themselves around chairs. So that's probably my scariest airport story. By the end of the night, I felt woozy. It was a rough flight. But this is why you're nice to everybody, right? This is why when you're checking in, when you're at the gate, when you're on the plane, be nice to people. If you're nice to the stewards and stewardesses, they'll just be like, yeah, we can just move your seat, have that bulkhead seat, you can have a upgrade seat. They can do that for you sometimes. You just have to be nice. Profile is important. Every hotel, every airline, anywhere you go, they're going to have a profile of you. And sometimes they'll share profiles. So if you have like a one world frequent flyer number for American and British Airways and things like that. Excuse me. I'm getting dehydrated. I'm so passionate about flying. If a one world flyer and you're using it at a hotel to get, cross points or whatever, the hotel oftentimes will be able to it'll pop up your profile when you're checking in, and they can see what the airline said about you and what other hotels have said about you. So if you argument with a hotel agent 3 years ago on the other side of the world, chances are the person who's checking you into that hotel or that flight, they know, they can read that note. They know if you're a problem person. So if you're nice to everyone the whole way through, they're going to be more inclined to do nice things for you. and help you out. So good behavior is important. I mean, it's good to be good to all customer service people, but in general, it's good to be good to people who do the flights and the checking ins and the people in the tourism industry, because it's a people industry. So it's definitely important to be nice, you know? And I think that it's overrated too, but it can be treacherous for sure. You know, people that work at the desk, they're checking in lots of people. They don't necessarily to you the whole way through bugging them, but just like a nice little like smile. How are you today? Be polite. It'll go a long way. You'll be surprised at how far it can go for those agents. If you have to stay at the airport very long, ask if they have a club called Ground Zero. Yes, any club. If also friendly trick, if you are at any airport and don't have a club access and you don't want to buy a day pass, if you're at the airport for an extended period of time, sometimes if you go up and you're very nice to the usually not to the people who actually work at the lounge, but people who work in the airport. A lot of times they can get you in if you're very nice and you say, "Listen, I'm here for like 17 hours. My flight's been delayed. I just really would. Is there anywhere I can like lay down and take a nap?" Sometimes they can pull some strings. Friends, they work there. At your place of employment, if you're fortunate enough to still have a job post pandemic, during the pandemic, we're not post yet. If you're fortunate enough, you have friends there, right? So you can go up to, hey, I got here, at my work, and he needs a thing, and you can pull some strings. So if you're nice to the airport staff, they can sometimes pull some of those strings for you. Growing up as a kid, there used to be watchtowers so kids could watch the planes. I don't think that's very common. I can tell you actually, a lot in the United States now are very, very strict. I make videos a lot of online content, so film stuff. I have my camera out, and I'll tell you what, I you get yelled at that a lot now because of 9/11. Since 9/11, I remember years ago I was at Boston International, Boston Logan Airport, which is where the planes took off from 9/11, and I had my little GoPro up, and I was filming something of the like of the planes, up at the gate. And within 5 minutes, security was there. And they're like, you need to turn that off. Absolutely not. You can't. It's illegal to film or against policy to film the airfield. No way, Jose. So I would be surprised if they started watching where you could get close to seeing the action. They don't. They try to keep that under wraps a lot now, especially since 9/11. Club Zero has bunkers for people to rent by the hour to sleep in. They do, and a lot of that is starting to get super popular now in the States. It's been popular in Asian countries, the kind of pods by the hour. I don't have any strong feelings about them. I like the idea of it. It's nice to take a nap. I'm so old and bitter when it comes to travel. I've done it so many times. I have no problem spreading myself out on a bench, at a empty and just conking out for a few hours. I have no qualms about that at all. And I even have I have a whole technique of how I kind of wrap my bag through so that I feel safer that way. But yeah, if you're interested in a pod to rent by the hour, that's certainly something that would be worth it. I would do that before I would pay for a lounge for a day or for Wi-Fi or anything like that. So ear popping, good question, Mark. Ear popping, my sister's bad with this. I would say when it comes to, so Mark's asking what my tips are for ears popping when you can't adjust to the altitude, landing or taking off, or sometimes even in the air. So you can buy products for that. Some people say you chew gum to kind of keep like the fluid in your doohickey, anatomy, the little drainage tube from your ear. That's what causes the popping, because the fluid in it can't adjust to the pressure. So my sister chewed gum and it never worked for her. And then she found that if she chewed ginger root, it would work. I don't know if that's anything to do with the ginger, but I think it's the harder substance to work out that jaw. I have flown with sinus infections before because I've had to for work, and that's super painful. So you can buy earplugs that are supposed to help with some of that. You can buy gums. You can do things like ginger root. You have to kind of find what works for you when it comes to that. And those are the things where I would say, if there's one lesson you can take away, bring them to the airport. Don't buy them at the airport. Plan ahead, because when you're your pack of gum or your fancy earplugs for your thing, you're going to spend twice what you would spend at a drugstore, not at the airport. Things like that. If your ears do pop and you want to bring gum and a couple things to try, buy them before you get to the airport, and bring them in with your water bottle and your snacks, because it's going to be way more cost effective for you to do it that way, and then you'll have the money to spend on your pod at a Club Zero, or your shower if you want to shower, or your Wi-Fi if you need to do that. So plan ahead a little bit. So we're going to take a quick break. We're about halfway through. After the break, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the rules that I break, because I gave you some rules and I break some of them. So do as I say, not as I do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the rules I break when I travel. Mr. Ankit, I'll let you take it away.
IBMTV and free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I'll give you some great travel tips and advice. There's nothing quite like snapping that photo at sunset in Paris, trying great coffee in Colombia, or adventuring around Spain having a great sunny day. Even if you want to travel domestically, from budget travel guides in New Orleans, New York, Paris, and London, to luxury travel guides and everything in between, travel can be so much fun and so much more affordable than you think. I hope you're having a great time watching me here live on IBMTV. I have a ton of fun making Travel Tuesdays Travel with Branden, and I hope you're having a lot of fun watching. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, swing by my YouTube channel. You can find my YouTube channel full of great travel tips, some travel hacks, some food recommendations, city guides, budget travel tips, and so much more. Subscribing on YouTube is free to do, and it helps support me and continue making great travel content for you to see. You can also visit me online at thebrandenscott.com, where you can get even more travel advice, some great links, and some in-depth breakdowns of trips I've taken and trips you can plan. It's a great way to find a little bit of inspiration for your next adventure and some travel tips. I've got cities both domestic and international that you can check out. Find the best places to eat, the best things to see, the best things to do, and how to do it all affordably. Whether you want to stay at Airbnbs or 5-star luxury hotels, there are great ways you can do all of those things on a budget. Swing by my YouTube channel, give that big red subscribe button some love, and don't forget to visit thebrandenscott.com for even more travel tips. From great photos in Paris, to awesome food in Spain, to wild adventures in Colombia. If you want to adventure and you want to see more, this is the place to do it. Now back to, I guess, live me on IBM TV. Enjoy Travel Tuesdays and Travel with Branden.
Jeeth recorded me. That was awesome. I love. We had a little audio glitch there, and I love it because now you have to hop over to my YouTube channel to hear what I was saying in the first half of that. So see, it's cross promotion. It's cross promotion. Look at that. So the stuff. First, before I kind of get into it, I want to announce a little thing I'm super proud of. I just launched a new line on my website, a new travel line called the Explore line. I'm wearing it today. Look at that. Explore. It's got a little paper airplane. Super fancy. If you want any of that stuff, you can head over to my website and grab some. I got bags, your perfect personal item for travel. If you need a little pillow, I got a travel size pillow. I got everything you can want. So head on over there. Check out some of those new Explore line products. So if you're just joining the stream, my name is Branden, and today we're talking about travel, hacks, tips, tricks, all sorts here live on IBMTV. We're about 20 minutes to go. So if you're just jumping in, feel free to leave a comment. You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel. You can leave a comment on the IBMTV Facebook page. So Anka's asking why flights over the Atlantic are always difficult comparing to over the Pacific. I don't know if this is true, but I've been told it's because of the winds. That's what I've been told, because it burns more jet fuel and it's like harder, I guess, to fly against the wind. I don't know if that's true. That could be a total lie. That's what I've been told. Could be wrong. Could hard to say. Flying against the jet stream, I guess. There's a jet stream somewhere. I don't know meteorology, but I've been told that's why it is. But if you use some of these tips, you can help kind of avoid some of those expensive, pricey places. Mark says those restaurants are expensive at the airports. Any airports that have good food at a cheap price. Well, Mark, I've got some bad news for you. A lot of airports will have great food. You're not going to find it at a great price. But that's one of the rules I break. This is we're talking a little bit about some of my rules and some of the rules I break. I eat at airports a lot. Not every time I fly, but often. I bring snacks for sure, but eating at airports I break that rule all the time. Jim wants to know why my tips are common knowledge. Well, because not everybody has subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, and not everybody is watching IBM TV yet. But with enough weekly broadcasts and enough people following up on some of that content on my website, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But here's the deal: these things are businesses, and they need to make money. Kind of a gag is, and Kimberly can tell you this as she's reminded me a few times that her family used to be travel agents, like 70% of the airline's rates are not published publicly. They're internal rates for travel agents, for travel agencies. So you got to do a little digging. But I do break my own rules. I do eat at airports a lot. And here's why. I'm big. I'm not, but I like to eat. And snacks are great and they get me through, but after about 6-7 hours of being in an airport, I need a meal. I want to sit down. I want to have a little glass of wine. I want to have something delicious. Oh, Jim likes the chess background. Is this chess? I have chess. You mean my little doohickey? These are my little recording doohickeys. The audio sounds better. They're acoustic foam. I've got them all over this room. There used to be one right there. You can see my head's in the way. You can see there used to be one right there, but it fell down. They're chess themed just for you, Jim, and they make me sound a little bit better. So food in airports is expensive. Mark, you're right. You're gonna find some expensive stuff, but if you're at you like the pillow. I like the pillow too. Isn't that nice? Isn't that fair? Look at that. And so comfortable and soft. And you can order one today. Hop on over to my website. So, when you're at the airport, you got to be really careful about where you go to eat. You can do your fast foods. They'll be cheaper. Still gonna be a little bit more expensive than fast food would be outside of the airport. But like a nice glass of wine and sit down dinner after a long day of flying or during a long layover, I think really help. So here's if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna eat at an airport. So I'm sorry, I'm still answering Mark's question. Oh my God, is it easier to fly east or west? Depends on when you're flying. It totally depends on when you're flying, price wise. As far as turbulence, I don't know. The whole going through climate change, so it's hard to say. Price wise, it depends on when you're flying. If you're flying on the weekends, it's almost always going to be easier to go east because most people are going home for the weekends or like after their business travel. So weekdays are just always going to be better for you to fly either direction. When it comes to eating, like Mark was saying, it's hard to find an affordable place that does well. So here's kind of what I do. I would say avoid your fancy sit-down restaurants, sort of like Gordon Ramsay knockoff, or who's the other guy with the spiky hair? Any of those places that they have like their fancy chefs, just ignore. Find a nice Irish pub, find a nice bar with some finger foods, pop in, have a pint if you'd like, or have maybe just like some mozzarella sticks, just something warm to kind of relax you. The time zone. Well, that's true. So I'm talking a little bit more about price. I guess when it comes to time zones, it's much easier to go backwards. Is that backwards? What's the best way to phrase that? Backwards, forwards? It's much easier to come like back to the west than it is to go, I think, because of the time zones. But the best time to take an international flight. I always go for weekday during the night. Always. Weekday during the night. A, it's easier to adjust your sleep schedule to do. B, it's going to be cheaper during the weekday. And C, there's usually less chaos at night. The airports are going to be quieter, easier to navigate, easier to get through. But I mean, I break these rules a lot. I don't really break the flying rule a lot. I usually, when I'm booking my own travel, I will pick a weekday. Mondays are great. Wednesdays are great. Once you get to like Thursday, Friday, it's going to be a little more pricey because that's when the business travelers are going home. So there's more traffic. Oh, excuse me. Thing with the live stream. I'm my water is making me burpy. So when you're ready to eat at the airport, I think it's important to find like that nice easygoing place, that kind of finger food place, a little step up from fast food, but I do that a lot. I definitely do that a lot. The other rule I break is the whole water bottle thing. It's so embarrassing, but I lose my water bottle all the time. I've bought nice water bottles. I even bought a water bottle that had leopard print on it, and I put glitter on it so I could see it from a distance and know it was my water bottle. Lose my water bottle. All that doesn't matter. I'll have it for 5 minutes. I'll set it down somewhere. I'll forget and walk away. So usually what is I'll bring my empty water bottle through security, and I'll get to this side of the gate. I'll put it down somewhere. Gone forever. I'll never forget. I'll never put it down, and I'll always end up buying water. I'll always do that. I don't know why. I don't know why I do that, but I'm just horrible about keep of a water bottle. I think it's because I've got so many other things that I've got, my passports and papers and bags and, all sorts of stuff. I think that's what, maybe if I took my fancy personal item Explore bag, boom, maybe if I took that, I could put my water bottle in there. It's polyester, so I don't have to worry about it spilling. And maybe I could do that. Keep my water bottle. Thanks, Jem. I'm glad you like some of the tips. Airports are hard, man. Airports are crazy. Airports are places where you experience a lot of emotion. Do you ever think about that? Airports are like therapy. Because you get excited when you're going to a new place. You're happy, you're ready. Sometimes you're nervous to fly. Sometimes you're angry about delays. You can go through a lot of emotions at airports. So you kind of know how to navigate your airport. I've to the same in and out of the same airports a lot. I fly back into the States, into San Antonio, Cleveland, and Sarasota. I've flown into those airports a lot. So I know my places. I know where to go. I know where the best isolated places to charge my phone and take a nap. I know where where I'm going to go for food, stuff like that. The other thing that's hard, I think, at airports is they're designed to confuse you. Gatwick is a good example of this. London Gatwick is very, very good at getting you to spend more money because you check in, you walk through duty free. It's light. There's people all around to help you shop. It's very easy to spend some money there. If you get through duty free, you didn't spend any money, did good, you get out to the other side, they're not going to tell you what gate your flight is taking off from until like a half hour before your flight takes off. So if you're there and you've got an hour to kill, you're going to spend most of that hour in the central shopping area, looking at the screen, waiting to see what gate you need to go to. And that makes it so easy to spend some money, because you're going to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You're going to spend a while in that kind of central. If you've ever flown into Gatwick, they have like a central seating area, and the upper level has all these restaurants and lounges, and the bottom level has all these restaurants and shops, and they got big screens everywhere. But it's like, it's right before your flight starts boarding that they'll finally tell you where to go, because they want to keep you there as long as possible to spend as much money as possible. So you gotta be careful because it's easy to spend money there. Fun side note, not to go too much of but the one time I was almost deported because I didn't have a valid passport for entry to a new country that I was flying into, was at London Gatwick. I was sitting in that central area at London Gatwick. I think I called my dad and my sister, and I said, hey, I'm about to land in France, in this country. I don't have a valid passport to get in, so I might be deported. Don't know. I'll call you in a day and let you know what happens. So that, if you want more to that story, check out my Lost Passport YouTube video. I detail what to do when your passport gets stolen overseas and how to resolve it. Spoiler alert, it is not easy to do. So you can check out that video if you want a little bit more on that story. But those airports, they're really designed to keep you into the area where you're going to spend money and make you spend it. And I love Nando's, some great food at airports, but it's never worth it. Kim says some places have great shopping, but don't buy anything from shops. At the big hard food, I can cut you some slack on. You might need a nice meal, but any retail outlet, you're gonna pay more for your product when you're there. And like Kim says, you can't return it because you have to buy a plane ticket to go back into the airport to make that return. It's never worth it to buy something from a shop. The places that sell luggage, the places that sell makeup, the places that sell headphones and whatever, never worth it. I'm a big fan of that. I actually bring three kinds. I bring a backup headphones with me because I love my music on my planes. So I take these because these are great. They're noise canceling. I put them on and that's my headphones. But I have a backup pair, which are wired earbuds that I can plug in. Backups. Because I also have my AirPods, which the battery might die and stuff like that. But never, ever worth it to buy retail stuff at an airport. Will a spare passport help? Well, here's the thing about spare passports. They're hard to get. You have to prove a need to travel. You can get, most people don't know this, you can get two passports at once. In the United States, we can file for a second passport, active passports. You can do that. It's very, very hard to do. Most people can only get away with it because they have their passport out for a visa, have an immediate business need or emergency need to travel, and for a second passport. It's hard to get approved for those. I know a lot of people that have applied and have not gotten them. Your old passports that have a little hole punched in them. This is my real passport. This passport, believe it or not, you should go watch this video. It's a story. This passport cost me about $2,000. And took me about a month of rushing around different embassies, different cities in I went everywhere to get this thing. Having one of the old passports doesn't really help because it doesn't do anything. That's a passport somebody could steal and could just take and go and say, this is me, but it's got the hole punch. It's not valid. So they'll turn you away right away with that. Do you have clinic or medical? Yeah, most airports will have, at the very least, even your smallest airport is going to have some sort of emergency responder. Not a place you're going to go for like a checkup, but if you need medical attention, they're going to have trained people on site who can give it to you, at least give it to you until proper trained professionals show up. Most big airports will have paramedics on site as well, so you're pretty well covered there. But other kinds, like if you're at an airport, don't go get. You know what drives me nuts? I know I'm on a tangent now. hair salons in airports. Do you know that's a thing? If you don't know that's a thing, there are airports where you can go get your hair cut. They got a barber shop in there. It drives me nuts. Why plan your travel so poorly that you couldn't get your hair cut 3 days, 4 days, a week before you traveled, that you would spend the extra money to go get your hair cut at an airport? Stuff like that. It's just not worth it. Even if you're traveling full time, and I traveled full time for about 4 years, you plan it. I'm going to be traveling for the next 2 weeks straight. Great. I'm going to get my hair cut before I go. Get my dentist, whatever I need to do, because it's not ever worth spending that extra money in the airport. That's, I think, about all the time we have for the show today. I appreciate for those of you who've joined, everybody who left comments and asked questions. That's awesome. So much for doing that, keeping me going on different tangents. And yeah, if you want some cool Explore gear, you can get it at my website, thebrandenscott.com/store. Just go there, and first thing you'll see is some of the swag and merchandise. Or you can subscribe to me on YouTube. It's free to do. Great way to support me and learn a lot more. You can learn more about that story I was telling you about, the whole passport thing. I got a whole thing there. And it was literally months of me at like 3 a.m. through the streets of some foreign city with all my bags, trying to point the camera at myself and talk. It was a lot to do. And I also needed to at the same time. So it was a lot of drama. Emergency passports to full passport, visa to powers of attorney. It's a lot. So you go over there, subscribe to me on YouTube, check out my website for more travel tips, hacks, and some fun stories. We're going to reminisce a little bit. When we can travel again, you'll have some inspiration for that. I am going to be doing a whole episode coming up, probably towards the end of September here, on what the future of travel will be post-pandemic. What are we looking at? What is going to happen? We're still talking now like it was the heyday, like it was the days when you could travel freely, and giving you some basic tips. But we're going to build you up. We're going to get you some basic tips for what travel is normally like. And then the month we're going to talk about just the chaos of the pandemic. And I can say it's definitely chaos, because I was evacuated from a country in 12 hours. So it's chaos. We'll talk about it at the end of the month. But let's get the basics. We're going to build you up, give you some basic tips and advice. Don't forget to hang around here on IBMTV for the next show with, I should know this. Henning Morales is going to be next on IBMTV. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and my content. And I hope you guys have a lovely morning. Be inspired to travel, but stay at home and wear your masks. But be inspired and have a lovely, wonderful Tuesday. Thank you so much, everybody. My name's Branden. I'm a world traveler, foodie, and YouTuber. Together, you and I will find the best travel hacks, tips, and best places to explore. Join me as we find new adventures together, live only on IBM.TV.